Confined spaces, we do have confined spaces at the plant. You also have them around the facility here. You've got some manholes. Now if you go out on the road, you've got culverts, you've got manhole systems. Confined spaces are defined as this, as space that we normally do not do normal working conditions. One way in, one way out. Typically you should have 3 people to go into a confined space. You all should be trained in rescue procedures and operations, personal protective equipment, as well as air monitoring. Again, if you have any questions on that, we do that for a living. We also can get all the equipment. If you give us time, then we can actually set it up and we can do training, or we don't have to train. We can train while we go in. That's the beauty about work or confined spaces, because it can be on the job training. Main thing is, if you ever see anybody confined space and they're not moving, don't go in after them, because you too could be the victim.
Is it 3 positions in the confined space, or is it 3 people?
3 people. So your positions, basically, when you're saying positions, your positions are, one, a superintendent, and that doesn't mean that that's a manager, but it's a supervisor, supervisor of that entry. They're filling out the paperwork, they're getting all the equipment, they know that they're not going to have anybody die in that space. Then you've got a attendant. An attendant is only there to get that person out in the event of an emergency situation. When I say get that person out, if you have 4 people, then you need 4 attendants. Then you have what they call the person that goes in, that's the entrant. That's usually the newest person, the most skinniest, and the lightest person. Why? Because you want to be able to rip them out real quick. I'm just teasing. That was bad, wasn't it? I'm just teasing. Lighten up! Wake up. The entrant should be the person that does go in, but they should understand all the hazards associated with everything, and they should understand to get out if someone does get them out. That's a good point, though. Another thing with you guys is traffic control. Traffic control is a big one. Can you tell me the most important points on traffic control in your world that you need to follow? Just real quick.
I'd say make sure your signs are set up properly.
Thank you.
In the correct distance and all that.
Thank you.
Proper cone spacing.
Thank you.
Don't turn your back on them.
Don't turn your back at
Traffic.
Thank you very much. What else? Most important thing that you should be in when you're out there?
Safety vest.
That's right.
I mean, worked in the cones.
Right.
On the other
And
side.
have you guys all been certified? I know that when I say certified, I'm just asking, and I know that I'm running just a little bit over, but this is important. So the people that who are setting up the cones and all of that, we understand where they're supposed to be set up at. We've been doing it long enough to where we know the footage and all that. And we've actually did some observations, and you guys have done a real good job on that. But I know that there's some congested areas. I know that there's times where you get in these neighborhoods that it gets a little crazy. So those are things too that one of the things that we would like to polish on your program. And I know it's tough, and it's going to come back with your help and having some better ideas, especially planning. But that's just on some of your traffic control. When I say better planning, maybe looking at it from a different view, us getting involved in a little bit more, or just learning some different plans, and we've got that. But I'm not saying that you're doing anything bad. That's what I really worry about, you getting run over the most, especially with texting and driving and cell phones and this and that and the other. And again, you guys are shaking your head. You know where I'm coming from on that. So going back.
Hey guys, I'll interject here on the traffic control. And we all know how it goes out there. You know, Gunco or in the Solar Gunco, but Streetwise or Morgan, who we primarily use now, come out and do that initial setup, get all the spacings down for us. But over the course of a week or 2 weeks, milling crew, asphalt crew, concrete crews, we all know how trim lines can go missing. They get pulled somewhere else. We start having gaps. Give those guys a call. They'll send out an MUTCD certified guy and say, hey, just drive through, make sure everything's in its place again, get everything recentered for us, and then we move forward. It's a small charge. I mean, they'll charge us for the labor, but it's not a huge amount. And to get our work zone back into a condition we want it to be in. Like I said, we do a pretty good job most days, but we all know how stuff goes missing. There's subcontractors out there using things. They grab things. They grab signage. So don't be bashful to call an MUTCD guy out and say, hey, will you drive my job site today? Fill in the gaps. You know what I'm saying, guys, but take advantage of that.
Perfect. Extreme temperatures. I know that we're dealing with spring right now, like weather. We've got severe weather that's coming up. You've already seen some tornadoes down south. I worry about that. Let's pay attention to our weather radios and all that. Heat is another big one that you guys deal with, and I know that you're tough. And I really worry about brand new people that aren't acclimated to your world. So when they come on site, let's make sure that we're drinking plenty of water, that we're checking on them. We're checking out skin color changes. If somebody does hit the ground in regards to a heat stress situation, what is the first thing that we should do? The 911 call. I like to get them in shade if I can. I don't like to move people if they're down on the ground, but if I can shade them, cool them down with water. If they're blacked out, then I really don't know what's going on. But if someone's throwing up, or they're acting goofier than normal, or their attitude's changing, or their skin color is changing, usually you go to like a red or a plum or gray colored tint. Just look out for those signs. Stop sweating. People that say that they stop sweating, well, that's when they get all clammy, and that's when they get that grayish tint or that purplish tint, especially in their lips. I say feed them as much water as you can. Don't bring them into an air conditioner. Don't throw ice on top of them because you can basically shock them. But the main thing is just making sure that you all are cooling them down. And you're right. If they hit the ground, they black out the 911. When I really worry about heat stress the most, I worry about cooking your insides, your brain, organs shutting down, or you going into a stroke type situation. So everything that you're talking about is correct.